Good morning, and I'd like to welcome you to this webinar on Toshiba's IP mobility. Just before I get into the webinar, just a couple of quick bits and pieces. If you can't see the screen in front of you, or you're having any challenges, you can just stick your hand up, or if you can type me a quick chat message, let me know what your issue is. I will be keeping you on mute. It's just the easiest really when doing a presentation type webinar like this, because obviously background noise and everything comes in quite often from speaker mics and things like that on PCs. So I'll leave you on mute. But if you do have any issues, any questions, whatever, feel free to just punch in a quick chat message with your question. And if I can get to it during it, I will. Otherwise, I'll cover it afterwards. Okay, so let's get into IP mobility. Just very, very sort of, I say, it's very high line. It's quite a complex slide, really. But what is mobile IP mobility? Well, it's a mobility app, basically, that allows a mobile device to act as an IP edge system extension. It enables a single number to be used to reach a user regardless of their location. So you can actually enable the through the IPMobility app, you can enable your DDI in the office to ring almost any location you wish, and you can simultaneously ring a number of different locations as well. It supports a number of functions around managing phone calls out as well, allowing you to call out through the phone system using either call back or call through, which means that a smartphone with the device enabled with the software on top, providing they've got a minutes bill and a data connection, it can make phone calls through the IP edge, passing out CLI of the main system rather than the CLI of the mobile. So, where do we get our app from, first of all? Well, it's in the App Store. You'll find that it's supporting both iOS 5 and above, and it supports Android 2.0, which would be sort of eclair, sort of honeycomb type days, up through ice cream sandwich and into jelly bean and so on. So, any of those types of handsets, you download the app from the App Store and install it onto the smartphone. It then breaks down into three core functions. Visual voicemail, which allows you to manage your mailbox, listen to voicemail messages, and so on and so forth, check your faxes if they've got fax unification through it as well. It allows you to manage your administration of your mailbox with things like your passwords, your greetings, and so on. And it also allows call out functionality, where you can call through, call out, and also manage where those calls ring to when come back in through your DDI as well. So that would be the three core functions of the product. So a quick look at the mailbox part of it. If you brought the menu up, that's the screen you now get. You get inbox, and you can see there I've got two mailbox messages. I've got fax underneath it. I've got saved and deleted items. I can record a new voicemail message, and I can view future delivery messages that I've sent in the future. I can see which ones they are if I want to administer them at a later date. So in this simple example here, I've clicked on the inbox. I've got two messages. You can see the two messages sitting there. I've clicked on the first message, hold my finger down on it, and you get to the third menu, which is what do you want to do with it. So the idea would be you'd click on your inbox, you'd go to the second screen, just touch it once, it will play the message to you. If you hold your finger down on it, you then get the option to then delete it because you've addressed it, forward it on to someone, or if you're in a public place, maybe play it on your earpiece because it's more of a confidential message. So very simply, that's how you would manage your inbox as far as your message is concerned. And obviously, if there were faxes coming through unified messaging, that's exactly what you would do with your faxes as well. As far as how you manage your mailbox, if you were actually wanting to change greetings and things, then you would go into, as you see on the bottom of the screen, the shot there, you've got the little sort of avatar type image. That's how you're managing your greetings and so on. If you click on that, then that's the menu screen for the mailbox management section, and you've got greeting management at the top there. Then you've got the ability to change your name, change your password, and then you're into the call settings. So we'll stay at the top level at the moment, greeting management. You hit the greeting management button, you then go into greetings. Now what it's showing you here is the latest version of IP mobility. So it's showing you the default greeting, the extended absence, the busy, and then there's a couple of extra ones coming in now, acknowledge and custom. Acknowledge is where it will identify calls coming into you. It will flag to you who's waiting on the line, and allow you to choose to play an acknowledge message, which is that recording there, to the person queuing, maybe saying, hold on the line, I know you're there, I'll get to you as soon as I can. And then you can terminate the call you're on and then jump to that call. And the last one there is custom, and that's where you can have custom greetings. This would be ideal for a schools type environment, for example, where you can have set custom greetings underneath, and you can just go into the custom, deselect or select the one you want, and you've instantly changed your greeting without having to re-record everything. So you can have professional greetings and just choose the one you want. When you do want to change your greeting, in this case I've clicked on default, you go to the next screen there and you hit the record button and you just talk into your smartphone and press the stop button at the end of that, and when you hit the save key it's uploaded and there's your greeting changed. So it's as simple as that. So it's very much empowering users to change their greetings simply by talking to their smartphone first thing in the morning before they leave for home and go somewhere, and they've instantly updated the message on the network. As far as call settings go, there's various things we can do. So the screen on the left side there is showing, for example, using dial using call through. We can also dial using call back. So this is just the two terminologies, or the two ways the call can go through the IP edge. I'll show you those in a minute. The other thing we need to set when we're doing that is how we want IPMobility to interact with the native dialer on the phone. And that's the next through down. The use IPMobility to make a call, do not use IPMobility to make a call, or ask every call. And the ask every call bit is a challenge, and it will just throw up which way did you want to make the call. And that might be the best way to use it. So they're the functions that you would set. When you then make the dial, you can either make a dial on the IPMobility app, and that's what the dial screen looks like, and that's the center of the three options on your IPMobility app. Or you could be in your native dialer in Android, you could punch in the number, you could hit dial, and that's the challenge that comes up on Android. Did you want to use the phone, or did you want to use IPMobility? And by clicking on one of those determines which way it goes. So obviously, depending on the user's use, in the work environment, they might just want to use the IPMobility app to dial. And if you hit the contacts button at the top there, it will go into the contacts of the phone. So they've got total integration in that way. Or they might want to use the native dialer on the phone and then the intercept function. And then when they leave for home, they can turn that intercept function off on IPMobility and say do not use, and their native dialer will just dial out in the normal way. So, quick look at the features of callback. Effectively, what it'll do is, if you want to make a call through callback, it sends a packet of data across the data connection on the smartphone to the IP edge, which tells the system where to ring and so on, and the IP edge will then make a call to the mobile, and it will make a call out to the destination number that was passed across. Key thing in usage of that is that the phone system's making all the calls, the phone system's picking up all the charges, the LCR on the phone system is obviously managing the cheapest calls, with a reseller using the or supplying the minutes to that IP edge. For the reseller, they're actually managing a lower cost, but also managing the revenue through their revenue channels rather than through a mobile bill that might go elsewhere. So it's potentially a win-win-win for everybody with cheaper costs, but also, more importantly, managing it through the phone system. So we're not putting out the CLI of the handset when it goes out. We're not putting out information that means that that user could then ring that person back on a personal number. So in a school's environment, for example, it would be a case of the school could ring the teacher directly then because they've got a mobile number. You wouldn't want to do that. So as long as there's a data connection on the smartphone, yeah, it will manage that connection and it will work. So ideally, it's aimed at occasional users of bring your own device. So again, say a teacher in a school, being an ideal example, needs to make 2 or 3 calls a day. IPMobility would be perfectly adequate for doing that without the complexity of a Wi-Fi SIP-based connection and all that sort of stuff. But it could also be district nurses, doctors out on call who might want to make a phone call to another patient to just check an address or something. Don't want to give their mobile number out because then obviously the patient's got their mobile number to ring them in the future. So again, using the call through or call back function will mask that, provide the right DDI out to the user. So let's just. So quick example there of how callback dialing works. We punch in our telephone number into our native dialer. We then are challenged by the IPMobility app to say, Did you want to make the call via IPMobility, or did you want to make the phone call via the phone? So you just would tap on the IPMobility app, the next screen would pop up automatically showing you that it's making a dial out through IPMobility. Then you would get the call come through, so you'd get the next screen pop up, which shows you that there's a call coming in. You answer the call coming in, hit the hash key, and then the dial out will happen to the DDI number that you punched in. So that's the sequence. It looks quite complex, but effectively there's only dial the number, hit IPMobility, you get a call come in, you answer and hit a hash key, and then it phones out. So for the flexibility of having the ability to use any smartphone then to make phone calls to the system, it's a very, very flexible way of doing that. If you're using call through, it's slightly different, because what call through function will do is it will make a phone call to the IP edge, and the IP edge will then make the call out to the number at the other end. So it will still mask the CLI, but the user's picking up minutes billing on their mobiles. However, with company mobiles, for example, where you may have free calls to the office as part of your contract, or for users who have almost unlimited minutes bills, because we're getting so many minutes now in our packaging, that you can actually easily make 10 or 20 minutes worth of phone calls a day, and it's not going to impact your minutes bill, then it's actually a far slicker way of making a phone call on this solution, because you just punch in the number, hit the IPMobility button if it was challenging, or if you may have set it always make IPMobility, in which case you wouldn't even get that challenge screen. It would go straight from the first one to the right hand one, which would be IPMobility is making a call through DID, so it's passing the call number through. It just basically makes a phone call straight through the IP edge out to the end user who you're trying to call. Very, very quick, very, very easy. It's just managing who picks up the minutes billing. So a couple of technical points on it. IPMobility is available on Google Play and iTunes for free, so it's just a case of downloading it. Providing you've got a endpoint on the system, you can use it and you can log into your mailbox from it. It works with IP Edge version 1.5 upwards. It supports iOS 5 and above, and as we've already said, Android 2 and above. And I say it's tied to the mailbox, as I've already mentioned. There's a few additional features that I'll come to in a minute, but other than that, there's no additional license required. You don't have to pay for it when you download it. It's free. It's there to be used, and it makes your mailbox extremely easy to manage. Features, and we say features, we've already delivered on some of these. So on the 1.6 features, what it now gives is it gives you a bit more control over incoming calls. You can transfer to another extension. You can choose to transfer to your desk phone. You can choose to record the call, and you can choose to send the call to voicemail. So you've now got more feature set on the front end of it. And you can also move into call screening, where you can ask information on the user coming through, and we can now actually manage that call. I can queue it on my mobile. I can see the call is there on my mobile. I'm taking the calls on my desk phone, but my mobile app will show me that I've got 2 calls queuing, and I can see the second one's one I want to take, so I can play that pre-recorded announcement I mentioned earlier on to that message saying, to that user saying, hold on, I will get to you, terminate the call, and then jump a call and pick up that second call. So I've got ways now of managing my calls to my my desk phone through the mobility app as well. There's a screenshot showing you how you've got control of calls coming in, and how you can basically terminate them, transfer to desk, record, so you can actually set to automatically record a message. Automatically record the user when they come through to you. You answer it, but you've already set record on as well, because maybe it's an order, maybe you're driving around the M25 at the time, and you want to have a record of the conversation you've had, or you can just divert the call straight to voicemail, so you don't actually answer it. All of that is available to you now before you actually pick up that call. On the call screening function, you get effectively here, you get a pop-up saying this call is calling you. So you get notification of who's coming through, and you can then decide whether you want to take that call or terminate it. And if you're managing an active queue on your IPMobility app, this is the screen you will see here, where you'll start to see the CLI numbers of the people in the queue to you. And this is where, if you touch one of those, then you can go into the queue option of terminating the call, sending it to voicemail, or playing your acknowledge message saying, I'm aware you're there, I will get to you as soon as possible. So very, very useful way of managing, almost like a sort of a very cut-down ACD function there for a user that can use their smartphone to manage the calls to their desk phone. Obviously, once you were in that queue and you clicked on someone, that's the screen you get, which is say send to voicemail, divert to me, in other words, put it through to my desk phone, divert it, and put call record on, and then you can divert it somewhere else if you want to, or play that announced message. So very, very easy just by clicking on the buttons to manage the calls coming through. The acknowledge message is just recorded as I went through earlier on. You go into the greeting management, drop down to the acknowledge, hit change recording, and just record that greeting. Very easy to do. The other one that's very key, and certainly see this coming into things like the schools environment, where they may have the need to have multiple messages on, for example, the status of the school, particularly thinking about snow days or insect days or things like that, where they can have pre-recorded greetings. They can have any one of 9 here, and it's as simple as clicking on the custom greeting. At the moment you see custom ones deactivated. If you click on that little box and activate it, that's now the greeting for that mailbox. So it's very, very easy to manage then which greetings passed out just by clicking a few simple buttons. And that, for a head teacher who has to manage that, we're closing the school today, it's a snow day, well, all they've got to do is open that, hit one button, and they've got a snow message up there saying the school's closed today. It's so easy for them to use, which means taking this as the app server, for example, and putting it on a school with a CIX has got to be a very, very useful solution to go out there and market. That, in sort of just over 15 minutes, is a very, very simplistic overview of what IPMobility can do for either running with an IP edge using all the voice, or as an app server sitting on the back of CIX. I'm not going to do any live demonstrations now because I spent the last few days actually putting a lot of those together in video format, and I've now uploaded them to YouTube. So if you'd like to have a look at the videos, what I will do for you guys on here is I will send you out a link to YouTube showing you the videos running of how you change your greeting, actually record a new greeting, upload it, and so on. I've done that. I've done a complete overview of visual voicemail. I've also done how do you change your custom greeting and so on. There's about 5 or 6 YouTube videos up there at the moment, and I'll be adding more and more behind it. And that's probably the easiest way now to actually go in and have a look at how the whole thing works. So at this point, I'd like to terminate this and say thank you very much for attending this webinar, and hopefully I'll see you on a few of the other ones that you come on later on.